Have you ever wondered why some people stay energetic and mentally sharp into their 90s and even past 100? What if I told you there's a Japanese doctor who lived to be 105 without taking a single daily pill and who worked full-time well into his centenarian years? No miracle drugs, no extreme diets, just simple, powerful habits rooted in joy and balance. Today, we're uncovering the real longevity secrets of Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, Japan's oldest practicing physician, and I promise these lessons may completely shift the way you think about aging, food, and freedom. But before you toss your multivitamins or start a new routine, there's one truth you need to understand. Longevity isn't about living longer, it's about living better. And it all begins with a man who proved the world wrong. Part 1. The unlikely doctor who outlived his peers and never took pills. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara didn't just live to 105. He thrived. He walked to work, climbed stairs instead of elevators, gave lectures, wrote best-selling books, and he did it all with a childlike curiosity and a quiet joy. But here's what makes his story truly remarkable. He didn't take medications, he didn't follow strict diets, he didn't obsess over vitamins, calories, or step counts. Instead, he followed a rhythm, a way of life rooted in purpose, movement, and simplicity. While millions of Americans fill weekly pill boxes and schedule tests, Dr. Hinohara focused on something else entirely: feeling alive. He believed that aging was not a disease but a natural process that could be approached with lightness and grace. In Japan, elders like him are not tucked away in silence. They are honored, they contribute, and they continue to live with vitality. That's the first powerful shift we need to make. Stop fearing age. Start embracing it with intention. Dr. Hinohara often said, "To stay young, you must have fun." His life wasn't about avoiding death. It was about creating meaning every single day. So the question is, if you're over 60 or care for someone who is, what would your life look like if you stopped chasing medications and started building rhythms of real health? Let's begin that journey. In the next part, we'll dive into his most surprising eating habit and how it could change your energy, digestion, and mental clarity within weeks. But first, take a breath. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. Part 2. The 80% full rule. Why less is often more. If I asked you right now, what does a satisfying meal look like? What comes to mind? For most people, it's a full plate loaded with generous portions and a clean finish. In Western culture, we often associate a good meal with feeling stuffed heavy and almost a little too full. But in Okinawa, Japan, a place known for having the highest percentage of centenarians in the world, people approach food very differently. They live by a simple principle called hara hachi bu. It means eating until you're about 80% full to 100%. Not that overstuffed, can't move feeling. Just enough. At first it sounds strange, right? Why stop when you still have room? But let me tell you why this simple habit is so powerful. The science behind 80% full. When you eat until you're completely full, your stomach stretches, releasing hormones that signal to your brain that you've had enough. But here's the problem. That signal is delayed by almost 20 minutes. This means by the time you feel full, you've already overeaten. And this constant overconsumption puts stress on your organs, forces your digestive system into overdrive, and causes inflammation throughout your body. But the people of Okinawa have practiced hara hachi bu for generations, and the results, a staggering number of centenarians, those who live past 100 who remain active, sharp-minded, and independent. Lower rates of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes compared to the global average. A culture that sees food not as indulgence but as nourishment. By stopping at 80%, they reduce excess calories, protecting their bodies from chronic inflammation. Support their organs, reducing the strain of digestion. Allow their body to function in balance, not overworked or overstressed. Helen's story. Breaking the cycle of overeating. Let me tell you about Helen. She grew up in a household where food was never wasted. If it's on your plate, you finish it, her father would say. So she did, every single time. Over the years, she developed a habit of eating until she felt heavy and tired, thinking that's just what it meant to be full. Afternoon crashes became normal. Evening bloating felt like a routine, but she never questioned it. Until one day, she stumbled upon a documentary about Okinawan centenarians. The idea of stopping at 80% seemed impossible, but intriguing. That night she tried it. Halfway through her plate, she paused. She took a deep breath. "Am I actually still hungry?" she asked herself. To her surprise, she wasn't. She wrapped up the rest for tomorrow and went about her evening. The next day she did it again. And again. By the end of the first week, she noticed something remarkable. Her energy levels stayed steady throughout the day. Her bloating disappeared. She slept more soundly at night. It wasn't a miracle. It was balance. How to start practicing Hara Hachi Bu today. You don't need to move to Okinawa to experience the benefits of this simple practice. Here's how you can begin. Slow down, take smaller bites. Chew thoroughly and savor each mouthful. Pause mid-meal. About halfway through, set down your fork. Take a breath. Ask yourself, am I still truly hungry? Serve smaller portions. Start with less food on your plate, knowing you can always go back if needed. Listen to your body. Pay attention to the satisfaction instead of the stuffed feeling. It's not about restriction. It's about recognition. A small change. A big difference. Imagine if you could end each meal feeling light, energized, and ready to move without that sluggish, bloated feeling that drags you down. Imagine if every meal brought you closer to living longer, not just surviving longer. That's the secret of Hara Hachi. Bu, and it's only one part of Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara's formula for living well beyond 100. Next, we're going to uncover another surprising dietary habit practiced by the world's longest living people. One that challenges everything you thought you knew about protein. Get ready to rethink what it means to fuel your body. Part 3. The Protein Myth. Why Japan doesn't rely on meat. For decades, we've been told that if you want to stay strong as you age, you need more meat, more chicken, more beef, more protein powders. But here's the truth. Not all protein is created equal, and eating more doesn't always mean better. In Okinawa, home to one of the healthiest and longest living populations on the planet, most people over 70 don't load their plates with steak or pork chops. Instead, their protein comes from something much simpler and far gentler on the body plants. What Japan gets right about protein. In the West, we tend to associate protein with muscle mass. We're told that without large portions of meat, we'll lose strength, energy, and vitality. But in Japan, the focus isn't on quantity, it's on quality. Their meals often include tofu, soft and nutrient-rich, edamame, freshly boiled young soybeans, miso, a fermented soybean paste full of umami and health benefits, natto, a sticky probiotic-packed superfood. All of these are made from soybeans, a plant protein that contains all 9 essential amino acids, making it a complete protein just like meat. But unlike meat, soy-based foods are low in saturated fat, high in fiber, and come with extra benefits. Isoflavones that protect the heart and reduce inflammation. Prebiotics that nourish gut health. Phytonutrients that support aging cells. Frank's story. Trading meat for balance. Let's meet Frank. At 73, he'd always prided himself on being strong. He lifted weights in his garage, ate chicken breast at every lunch, and never missed his evening protein shake. But despite all his efforts, he was exhausted. His joints ached, his blood pressure kept rising, and worst of all, he started needing naps every afternoon, something that made him feel older than his years. One day he watched a documentary about centenarians in Okinawa. He noticed something strange. These elders weren't eating meat at every meal. In fact, many of them didn't eat meat more than once or twice a week. Inspired, Frank made a change, just 2 nights a week. He swapped his usual steak for a tofu. Stir-fry bok choy, garlic, ginger, and sesame oil. The result, within 3 weeks, he felt the difference. His blood pressure dropped, his energy stabilized. And for the first time in years, his joints didn't ache when he woke up. It wasn't about giving up meat forever. It was about creating balance and letting his body breathe. Debunking the meat-only mindset. There's nothing wrong with enjoying meat in moderation, but the myth that only animal protein builds strength, that's outdated. Here's what science says. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that consistent soy consumption reduces LDL cholesterol, supports bone density, and may even reduce cognitive decline in older adults. Plant-based proteins are also easier to digest for many seniors, especially those dealing with sluggish metabolism or gut sensitivity, and when combined with fermented soy, like miso or natto, the benefits multiply, supporting immunity, digestion, and long-term cellular health. How to add plant protein to your routine. You don't have to go vegan. You don't even need to give up meat. Just add balance with these simple swaps. Lunch idea: a tofu and spinach salad with sesame dressing. Snack: steamed edamame sprinkled with sea salt. Dinner swap: lentil or miso-based soup instead of red meat. Grocery tip: try organic non-GMO tofu. Once a week, you might be surprised how satisfying it is. This isn't about denying yourself. It's about giving your body the kind of fuel that supports you, not just today, but 10, 20, 30 years from now. From protein to probiotics. What comes next? Now that we've shifted the way we think about strength and protein, it's time to dive even deeper into something that fuels not just your muscles, but your entire system from the inside out. In the next section, we'll explore a daily habit found in almost every Japanese household. One that nurtures your gut, strengthens your immunity, and could replace your morning supplements entirely. Let's talk about the forgotten power of fermented foods. Are you ready? Part 4. Fermented foods. Nature's probiotic powerhouse. Have you ever wondered why so many people rely on probiotic pills to fix their gut health, yet still struggle with bloating, poor digestion, and low energy? Here's the truth. Real probiotics don't come from a bottle. They come from real food. In Japan, the secret to longevity isn't just what they eat. It's how they prepare it. And at the heart of their diet is something that Western medicine is only beginning to understand: fermented foods. Why fermented foods matter? Think of your gut as a living garden. To thrive, it needs good bacteria, just like soil needs nutrients, but modern diets are stripping away that healthy bacteria, leaving us with poor digestion, weaker immunity, and even mood swings. That's where fermentation comes in. Fermented foods are nature's way of adding life back into your gut. They are alive with probiotics, beneficial bacteria that restore balance, fight off harmful pathogens, and support everything from brain health to immunity. In Japan, it's a daily ritual. Miso soup for breakfast, a warm, comforting broth. Rich in probiotics and antioxidants. Natto for lunch, a sticky, powerful superfood that may look strange but is packed with vitamin K2 and gut-healing microbes. Pickled vegetables served on the side, simple yet deeply nourishing, filled with enzymes that aid digestion. These are not just side dishes. They are medicine, but without the pills. Claire's story. Finding relief in a cup of miso. Let me share with you the story of Claire. At 70, Claire had spent years battling digestive issues, bloating after meals, afternoon fatigue, an uncomfortable heaviness that never seemed to go away. She tried everything: fiber supplements, digestive enzymes, even those expensive probiotic pills that promised instant relief. But nothing seemed to work. One afternoon, her neighbor, a Japanese woman in her 80s who still gardened every morning, handed her a small jar of miso paste. "No pills," she said with a smile. "Just 1 cup every morning," skeptical but curious. Claire tried it. 1 spoonful of miso dissolved in warm water, sipped slowly before breakfast. By the 3rd day, she noticed something. Her bloating had vanished. Her energy was steady. She felt lighter, clearer, like her body was finally at peace. It wasn't magic. It was balance. The kind of balance that probiotics bring when they are real and alive, not freeze-dried in a capsule. Why fermented foods are better than pills. Here's what most people don't realize. When you consume probiotics from a bottle, you're getting a fraction of what's available in whole fermented foods. Miso, natto, and pickles are alive. They contain billions of probiotics thriving in their natural environment. Pills are freeze-dried. Many bacteria don't even survive the journey to your gut. And it's not just about gut health. Studies show that real fermented foods reduce inflammation in the body, improve mental clarity and mood by boosting serotonin production, strengthen the immune system by enhancing gut flora diversity. And the best part? They're simple. A spoonful of miso in warm water, a side of kimchi or sauerkraut with your meal, a handful of pickled vegetables on your plate. These aren't complicated health hacks. They're time-tested habits proven over generations in Japan. How to start incorporating fermented foods today. If you're ready to try it for yourself, here's where to begin. Miso soup in the morning. 1 spoonful of miso paste dissolved in warm water. Sip slowly. Add pickles to your plate. Look for naturally fermented pickles, not the vinegar-soaked ones. Try natto with rice. It may be sticky, but it's a powerhouse of probiotics. Explore sauerkraut and kimchi. These are Western favorites that carry the same gut-loving benefits. You don't have to overhaul your diet. Just add 1 fermented food to your daily routine and watch what happens. From gut health to heart health. The next step. When you heal your gut, you begin to heal everything else. Your energy levels, your mood, your overall well-being. But Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara didn't stop there. He knew that a healthy gut was just the beginning. The next step. Fueling your body with the right kind of carbohydrates, ones that energize you, not exhaust you. In the next part, we're diving deep into the surprising truth about carbs and why the Japanese eat them daily without the weight gain or sugar crashes. Get ready to rethink what it means to feel energized every single day. Part 5. Carbs aren't the enemy, but quality matters. If there's one food group that's been unfairly villainized in Western culture, it's carbohydrates. Cut the carbs, lose the weight. Low carb equals healthy. Bread is the enemy. We've all heard it, and maybe you've even tried it. Eliminating rice. Skipping bread, saying goodbye to potatoes, in the hope of feeling lighter, healthier, more energized. But what if I told you that in Okinawa, one of the longest living populations in the world, carbohydrates make up nearly 60% of their daily calories? That's right. The very food that many Western diets tell you to avoid is a staple in the diet of those who live past 100. But here's the key. Not all carbs are created equal. The secret of the Japanese sweet potato. In Okinawa, people aren't eating sugary pastries or heavily processed bread. They're eating something much simpler and far more powerful. Japanese sweet potatoes, these vibrant purple potatoes, are not only rich in flavor, but also packed with nutrients that protect the body. Anthocyanins, powerful antioxidants that protect cells from aging. Fiber supports digestion and stabilizes blood sugar levels. Potassium and vitamin C boost heart health and enhance the immune system. But here's what's truly remarkable. These sweet potatoes have a low glycemic index, meaning they release energy slowly, avoiding the sugar spikes and crashes that come with processed carbs. That's why the elders of Okinawa can eat them daily without weight gain or sluggishness. They are energized, they are active, they are thriving. Paul's story, finding energy through the right carbs. I want to tell you about Paul. At 69, Paul had been told countless times to cut carbs. He did what many of us have done, switched to lean meats, salads, and low-carb shakes. But the results were not what he expected. His energy levels plummeted. He felt fatigued by midday. His cravings for sugar and snacks became unbearable. One day during a visit to his dietitian, she recommended something surprising. Try Japanese sweet potatoes. Just half a cup with your lunch. Skeptical but willing to try, Paul made the switch. He boiled the sweet potatoes, sprinkled a bit of sea salt, and added them to his lunch. In just 2 weeks, the difference was undeniable. His energy remained steady throughout the day. His afternoon cravings disappeared. His blood sugar levels were more stable than they had been in years. Paul wasn't just eating more carbs. He was eating the right carbs. Why? Quality matters more than quantity. In the West, we're taught to focus on less sugar, less bread, less pasta. But in Okinawa, the focus is on better. Whole grains over processed flour, root vegetables over packaged snacks, natural starches over refined sugars. Here's the truth. It's not about removing carbs. It's about choosing the ones that fuel you, not drain you. Simple ways to add better carbs to your diet. You don't need to move to Okinawa to enjoy these benefits. You just need to make a few small changes. Swap white rice for brown rice or quinoa. More fiber, less sugar, spike. Choose sweet potatoes over mashed potatoes. Better digestion and more vitamins. Opt for whole grain bread instead of white bread. Less processed, more nutrients. Add more vegetables like carrots, beets, and squash. Natural carbs with vitamins and minerals. It's not about restriction. It's about replacing the bad with the good. A new way to think about food. Imagine eating carbs without guilt. Imagine feeling energized, clear-minded and strong, not heavy and sluggish. That's what people in Okinawa experience every day. They aren't afraid of carbs. They embrace them wisely. But there's more to the Okinawan secret than just carbs. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara knew that real health doesn't just come from food. It also comes from how you move and how often you move. In the next part, we're diving deep into why light daily movement is more powerful than any gym membership and how you can start integrating it into your life with ease. Get ready to rethink what exercise really means. Part 6. Movement over medicine. The power of daily light activity. When you hear the word exercise, what comes to mind? Jogging for miles, lifting weights at the gym, sweating through high-intensity workouts. That's what we've been told. No pain, no gain. But in Okinawa, where people live well into their 90s and beyond, exercise looks very different. They don't hit the gym. They don't train for marathons. They don't measure calories burned. Instead, they move lightly, gently, consistently, every single day. The secret of natural movement. In Okinawa, the elderly don't retire into chairs and televisions. They tend to their gardens. They walk to the market. They sweep their front porches. They even sit on the floor and get up repeatedly throughout the day, a natural form of stretching and strengthening. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, who lived and worked until the age of 105, was a perfect example. He walked everywhere, climbed stairs instead of using elevators, and moved with intention. It wasn't about how much he moved. It was about how often. His secret. He believed that movement is medicine. Not extreme punishing exercise, but gentle, regular activity that keeps the body fluid and the mind sharp. Why light movement works better than hard workouts. Here's what science shows. Light daily movement reduces inflammation, one of the leading causes of aging and disease. It improves blood circulation, delivering oxygen and nutrients to every part of your body. It boosts mental clarity by keeping your brain active and engaged. It preserves muscle strength and joint flexibility, reducing the risk of falls. Unlike intense workouts that can sometimes strain the body, especially as we age, light movement encourages healing balance and energy. This is why Okinawans don't just live longer. They live better. They remain active in their 80s, 90s, and even past 100, walking, gardening, enjoying life without pain. Marie's story, a simple shift to daily movement. Let me introduce you to Marie. At 72, Marie had retired from her long career as a teacher. Her days became quieter, more sedentary. She would read, watch TV, and occasionally walk around the block, but she started to notice something troubling. Her knees ached, her back stiffened. She felt tired just getting out of bed. One day a friend introduced her to a concept called ikigai, the Japanese idea of purpose. Find small ways to move with purpose, her friend said, inspired. Marie made tiny changes. She began walking to the grocery store instead of driving. She started stretching in the mornings before breakfast. She set an alarm to get up every 30 minutes just to walk around her living room. Within a month, she felt the difference. Her knees hurt less. Her back loosened up. She felt more energetic, more alive. It wasn't a gym membership or a personal trainer. It was just movement, purposeful, gentle, everyday movement. How to add light movement into your day. You don't need a treadmill. You don't need expensive equipment. You just need small, simple habits. Walk instead of drive. If it's less than a mile, take the time to walk. Take the stairs. Dr. Hinohara always took the stairs. It kept his legs strong well into his 90s. Stretch. Every morning. Gentle. Stretching keeps your joints flexible and reduces stiffness. Gardening or housework. Sweeping, planting, even rearranging furniture. These are hidden exercises. Stand up every 30 minutes. Set a timer if you have to. Stand, stretch, move. It's not about doing more, it's about doing it every day. From movement to mindfulness. The next step, Dr. Hinohara knew that to age gracefully, you had to move with purpose. But that was just one part of his secret. In Okinawa, it's not just about what you do, it's about how you do it. The people there embrace a lifestyle of simplicity, joy, and mindfulness. In the next part, we're going to explore how living with rhythm, not restriction, allows you to enjoy life to its fullest, without stress, without burnout, without guilt. Get ready to discover the joy of living simply. Part 7. Rhythm, not restriction. The joy of living. Simply, what if aging gracefully isn't about how much you control, but about how much you let go? In the West, we often treat health like a checklist. Count your steps. Track your macros. Avoid this restrict that health becomes a full-time job, exhausting, rigid, stressful. But in Okinawa and in the life of Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, health was never about restriction. It was about rhythm. The power of living in rhythm. Dr. Hinohara didn't track calories. He didn't follow strict rules. He didn't obsess over what not to do. Instead, he moved through life with a sense of balance. Every morning he began his day with miso soup. He read something uplifting. He walked not to burn calories, but to feel the air on his face. He didn't eat out of fear. He ate with joy. He didn't force activity. He flowed with it. This is rhythm. Rhythm is the natural cycle of energy and rest, of movement and stillness, of nourishment and simplicity. And when we live in rhythm, life feels lighter. Health becomes sustainable. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. Marie's story. From restriction to peace. Remember Marie. She had tried every health trend, low-carb, sugar-free, intermittent fasting. Every plan promised energy, clarity, and control, but all she felt was tired. Then she stumbled upon a story about Dr. Hinohara. It wasn't about what he avoided. It was about what he embraced. Morning walks, afternoon, tea time spent in a garden watching herbs grow. So Marie made a small shift. She started her day with intention, not urgency. She no longer skipped meals, she savored them. She gave herself permission to enjoy food, laughter, and rest. And within weeks, something changed. Her stress melted away. Her sleep improved. Her energy felt stable and calm. She didn't add more rules. She added rhythm. How you can find your rhythm. You don't need a strict schedule. You don't need to follow anyone's plan but your own. Here's how to start. Begin your morning slowly. A warm drink, a quiet walk, a few deep breaths. Create rituals, not routines. Tea at the same time each afternoon. A stretch before bed. A meal shared without screens. Let go of guilt. If you enjoy a piece of cake, enjoy it fully. Then return to balance. Listen to your body's natural cues. Rest when tired, move when restless. Eat when hungry, but stop before you're full. Health isn't a punishment. It's a rhythm you build through trust, joy, and gentle awareness. Let simplicity lead the way. Dr. Hinohara once said, "To stay young, you must have fun." Fun doesn't mean indulgence. It means living with lightness, finding joy in small things. A walk, a bowl of soup, a quiet moment. That's the essence of Okinawan. Longevity, they don't chase youth, they cultivate joy, and that joy rooted in rhythm is what gives life its depth. But even joy needs direction, and if rhythm is the heartbeat of a long life, then purpose is its compass. In the next part, we'll uncover how Japanese elders continue to grow, contribute, and find meaning even past the age of 100. It's time to reframe what aging really looks like. Let's talk about the power of purpose. Part 8. Aging is not decline. It's a recalibration. In many parts of the world, aging is seen as a slow decline. A loss of energy, a fading of relevance, a quiet retreat from life. But in Okinawa and in the story of Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, aging is something entirely different. It's not the end of vitality, it's the evolution of it. Aging is not a step down, it's a recalibration. What it really means to grow older. Dr. Hinohara didn't slow down when he turned 70 or 80 or even 100. He continued writing books, he lectured to packed halls, he met with patients, he smiled, he contributed, and perhaps most importantly, he remained curious. That's the part we often miss in Western thinking. We assume aging means withdrawing from the world, but in Japan, elders remain engaged, respected, and active. Why? Because their purpose doesn't retire when they do. The science of purpose and longevity. Research from the National Institute on Aging confirms it. Seniors who maintain a sense of purpose, whether through community creativity or service, live longer, healthier lives. They have lower rates of depression, stronger immune function, sharper cognitive ability. Purpose is not optional, it's essential, and it doesn't have to be grand. For some, it's volunteering at a local school. For others, it's mentoring, gardening, painting, writing, or simply sharing wisdom over tea. The key is this: your life still matters, especially as you age. A real story. Finding meaning. Beyond retirement. Let's talk about Charles. He retired at 68 after a long career in engineering. For the first time in decades, he had no deadlines, no pressure, no expectations. But instead of feeling free, he felt lost. His days blurred together. He watched TV, took short walks. But something was missing. Then one day, his granddaughter asked him to help build a birdhouse for her school project. They spent the weekend measuring, cutting, laughing. Charles hadn't felt that alive in years. That moment led to a new rhythm. He started woodworking again. First small projects, then teaching others. Soon he was leading free workshops at the community center. Charles didn't get younger. He got more purposeful, and his energy followed. Reframing what aging can be. Aging isn't the shrinking of life. It's the chance to reshape it to align your time, your values, and your energy with what matters most. It's the phase of life when your pace slows, but your presence deepens. When wisdom replaces speed and when contribution takes new forms. In Okinawa, elders are called keepers of harmony. They don't compete, they connect, they don't rush, they reflect. And because of that, they don't just live longer, they live wiser. What's your purpose? Now ask yourself, what brings me peace? What lights me up? What small act could I do today that makes someone else's life better? That's your recalibration, that's your next chapter, but knowing your purpose is just the beginning. Living it, step by step, starts with small actions. So next, let's bring everything together. Let's take all these insights from food to movement to purpose and build a practical path forward. In the next part, we'll help you take your first step today, because it's not about changing everything overnight. It's about beginning with one simple, life-giving shift. Part 9. 1 step at a time. Making these habits work for you. We've covered a lot together. We've explored the wisdom of Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, the secrets of Okinawan, centenarians, and the daily habits that sustain life, not just for years, but for decades. But here's the truth. Knowledge means nothing without action, and action only matters if it's sustainable. It's easy to get inspired to imagine a life full of purpose, joy, and health. But how do you turn that vision into reality? The answer is surprisingly simple. 1 step at a time. The power of small, consistent changes. Dr. Hinohara didn't wake up one day and decide to live to 105. He didn't overhaul his life with massive changes. Instead, he embraced small daily habits that added up over time. A cup of miso soup each morning, a walk instead of a drive, light stretching before breakfast, climbing stairs instead of taking the elevator. It wasn't dramatic. It was sustainable. That's where real transformation happens, not in bursts of motivation, but in gentle, consistent action. Jim's story. Building habits. 20 at a time. I want to tell you about Jim. Jim had just turned 70. His doctor told him his blood pressure was climbing, his joints were stiffening, and his energy was fading. The solution: exercise. More, eat better, get more sleep. But the list felt impossible. Where was he supposed to start? Jim tried going to the gym, but the machines were confusing and the weights felt heavy. He tried cutting out carbs completely, but he found himself craving bread and sweets more than ever. Finally, Jim decided to start small. He set just one goal: walk for 10 minutes every morning. Not a marathon, not a weightlifting session, just 10 minutes. At first, it felt simple, almost too simple. But then, something happened. His knees stopped aching. His energy picked up. That 10-minute walk became 15 minutes, then 20. 3 months later, Jim was walking a mile every morning. 6 months later, he added stretching and light weights. A year later, his doctor told him his blood pressure had stabilized. The secret: Jim didn't try to change his life overnight. He took 1 step at a time. How to start small and stay consistent. Here's how you can begin. Pick 1 habit. Choose just one thing from what we've learned: a cup of miso soup in the morning, a 10-minute walk after breakfast, eating until 80% full, climbing stairs instead of taking the elevator. Set a tiny goal. Don't try to be perfect. If 10 minutes is too much, start with 5. If a full meal change feels overwhelming, start with breakfast. Make it daily. Consistency is more important than intensity. A small habit done every day is better than a big habit done occasionally. Celebrate your wins. Did you walk 3 days in a row? Celebrate it. Did you skip the elevator once this week? That's progress. Build slowly. Only when the habit feels natural, add another layer it in gently. No rush, no pressure. Imagine the possibilities. Imagine waking up with energy, stretching without pain, eating with joy, not guilt. Imagine looking back a year from now and realizing that you're stronger, healthier, and happier, not because you forced it, but because you lived it. Dr. Hinohara lived to 105 not by chasing youth, but by embracing life, by doing small things every day, by moving, eating, and living with intention, that's available to you too. Starting today, one small step at a time. But now that you understand the habits, the rhythm, and the purpose, it's time to bring it all together, to see the bigger picture, to understand how these pieces fit into a life that is not just long, but full of life. In the next part, we're going to wrap it all up, to look back at everything we've learned and create a plan, one that you can follow every single day. Because this isn't just about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. Part 10. Final message: don't add years to life. Add life to your years. We've traveled together through the wisdom of Japan's oldest doctor, Shigeaki Hinohara. We've explored the secrets of Okinawan centenarians, those who live not just long lives, but rich ones. We've learned how small shifts in how we eat, move, and think can change everything, not through harsh restrictions or punishing routines, but through simple, joyful habits. But here's the truth. Longevity isn't just about adding more years to your life. It's about adding more life to your years. The real goal: living, not just existing. Imagine waking up every morning with energy. Not just the energy to get by, but the energy to thrive. To do the things you love, to spend time with people who matter, to walk outside, breathe deeply, and feel alive. That's what Dr. Hinohara lived for. He didn't count his days, he made his days count. He worked until he was 105, not because he had to, but because he wanted to, because he believed that contributing to life is what keeps you living. He didn't retire from life. He embraced it every single day. Your life. Your legacy. Now it's your turn, not to be perfect, not to follow strict diets or exhausting workouts, but to find your rhythm, to eat with joy, to move with purpose, to embrace aging as a new beginning, not an ending. Because here's the lesson Dr. Hinohara left us. A long life is not measured by time alone. It's measured by moments of joy, connection, and contribution. Your first step begins now. So what's your first step? Will you start your morning with a cup of miso soup like they do in Okinawa? Will you take the stairs instead of the elevator like Dr. Hinohara always did? Will you stop eating at 80% full and listen to your body's natural rhythm? Remember, you don't have to change everything. You just need to begin, one step at a time. A legacy of joy and purpose. Dr. Hinohara often said, to stay young, you must have fun, that's the secret. A life well lived isn't about numbers on a calendar. It's about the joy you find in the small things, the warmth of the sun on your face during a morning walk, the taste of good food shared with loved ones, the feeling of purpose when you help someone else. That's not just living, that's thriving, that's adding life to your years. A call to action. Your journey starts here. Now it's your turn. What one change will you make today? What habit will you start to embrace? What joy will you bring back into your daily life? Share it in the comments. Tell your story. Inspire others. Because just like Dr. Hinohara, your life can be a beacon of joy and resilience for those around you. And remember, it's not about living forever. It's about living fully, right here, right now. Your journey starts today. One step, one meal, one breath at a time. Thank you for being here, and I hope this is just the beginning of your own beautiful, meaningful, and joyful journey.